don't normally cover casting news on this channel, because typically I don't really feel like I have enough to say. However, I wanted to try and make a video like this, because I had a lot of thoughts about this Spongebob cast. Yes, after a long wait, we are finally getting the Spongebob Musical in the UK. It's going to be going on a UK tour with a short stint in London, before going back on tour again. This musical has been long awaited, especially for me. I love this musical. I think it's camp, I think it's silly, I think it's fun. And obviously, we have the pro shot of the Broadway version, even though it was actually filmed in the UK, in Plymouth. And if you've never heard of Plymouth, I don't blame you. Here it is on a map. But finally, we have the full cast of the SpongeBob Musical, and it's very interesting. So, I will be talking all about these cast members, I'll introduce you to everyone, and I'll give some thoughts on what is interesting about them. I don't know how to start a video like this yet. Is it apparent? I think it's apparent. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie. I talk about theatre. I do reviews, I do discussions, and I do video essays, and apparently I do news now sometimes as well. I like to keep you on your toes. I give variety. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribing. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. But enough about that, let's talk about why you're here. So, this production of SpongeBob is going to be a new version. We are not getting a transfer of the Broadway version, we are getting a brand new production, which is being produced by Celador Worldwide. I'll put a list of the shows that they have produced on screen, but they do a lot of our big touring shows. They were behind Amelie. Even though it was cancelled, they were behind the Bring It On tour. But let's talk about this cast. First off, let's talk about our leads. Louis Cornet is going to be playing SpongeBob. He is an actor and a playwright, having recently premiered his first play at the Seven Dials Playhouse. He starred in Book of Mormon and Mary Poppins in the West End, and played Amos in Whistle Down the Wind, alongside another member of this cast, but we'll talk about them later. I am yet to see Louis in anything, so this is really exciting. Irfan Damani is going to be playing Patrick. This is another actor who I haven't actually seen in anything. He recently starred as Raj in the Billionaire Boy musical, which is based off the popular David Walliams books. And rounding off our main trio is actually an actress I am familiar with, and this is Chrissy Beamer, who's playing Sandy. They are a recent arts ed grad. I had the pleasure of seeing her in Lift at the Southwark Playhouse last year. She was about to become Cinderella in Andrew Lloyd Webber's controversial musical, but we all know how that went. But what's most interesting about her casting is that she has actually played the role before. In, I think, if I'm correct, it was last year's Arts Ed show. They did SpongeBob and Chrissy Beamer played Sandy, so it's really nice to see her return to the role. She was also seen in Whistle Down the Wind at the Watermill alongside Louis Cornet, so it's going to be nice to see them together again. Now, here's where we get into some of the... I'm hesitant to call it stunt casting, but with the way that the advertising is going for the show, you can tell that they are pushing some of the marketing on these two names. Let's start with the person who I'm less familiar with, and this is Gareth Gates. If you don't know Gareth Gates, he was the runner-up contestant on Pop Idol, which is the precursor to X Factor here in the UK, and actually led to the creation of the more popular spin-offs such as American Idol. This show only lasted for 2 years, as it was cancelled in favour of Simon Cowell moving on to X Factor. Now, typically when you hear a sentence like that, your first instinct is to go, oh no, this is another stunt cast, but actually, Gareth Gates has a very strong history of starring in theatre. He has played Marius in both the touring and the West End versions of Les Mis. He played Warner in Legally Blonde, Joseph in Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and it's a very interesting history. I'm very intrigued to see what his squib was going to be. As looking at his other casting, I wouldn't have necessarily placed him into Squidward. Part of me was hoping that maybe there was some glimmer of hope that we could have Gavin Lee come and reprise his role, but I'm very excited for Gareth Gates and to see what he brings. Now, here is the casting that made me want to make this video. Divina the Campo, runner-up of RuPaul's Drag Race, UK Season 1, there seems to be a running theme with runners-up in this cast. They just love an underdog. Will be playing the role of Plankton. Now, we all know Divina de Campo is an absolute icon. And of course, we all know that she is more than a red wig and a silver dress. I mean, she can sing in 5 different octave ranges, and she has proved this time and time again. And since her time on Drag Race, she's given some great performances in some other touring versions of musicals. Most recently, Mary Sunshine in Chicago, and obviously, we have to mention her amazing portrayal of Hedwig in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And for those of you who are wondering if I'm ever going to talk about Hedwig on this channel again, with the rumours that have been recently popping up, my answer to this is, once it's announced, and I can safely say that yes, I am annoyed that it doesn't seem to be the production that I love, the Leeds Playhouse production. I'm waiting for official announcements to see if I should be worried or not. Divina de Campo is amazingly talented, but the reason that I'm so curious about this is that she's playing a male role. I'm very interested to see whether Divina plays this in a masculine drag way. All of the press release information and the marketing materials address Divina as her drag persona. So, as Divina de Campo, and with she, her pronouns. Also, a little bit of a clap here. Just thank you so much for this announcement, having pronouns for every single cast member attached. You don't always see that, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you. But that's interesting. Will we be seeing a departure in the gender roles of Spongebob? Will we see some playing around with that? This is a new production that has the ability to play around with this. The casting announcement does refer to her as playing Sheldon J. Plankton, so I think we can assume that she'll be playing a male version of Plankton, but maybe they'll do it in a drag king kind of way. I'm very excited about this. There's a lot of potential here. And even if we don't get that, I know that Divina de Campo is one of the strongest drag queen performers that we have in this country. And I am excited to see her once again grace our stages. What's more interesting about this, and something that isn't actually announced in this press release, and was instead announced on Instagram, was that we actually have a female understudy for Spongebob. Eloise Davis, who is a performer that I absolutely love. I followed her since she starred in Be More Chill, a role that she was vastly underused in, and more recently she's been in 42 Balloons, which was absolutely incredible. I didn't talk about it on the channel, mainly because I wasn't really allowed to, but 42 Balloons, keep your eye out for it again because it was spectacular. But Eloise revealed on her Instagram that she will be covering both the roles of Sandy and Spongebob. I really like this. At the end of the day, this is a musical about creatures from underneath the sea. Does their gender really matter? No. And I like how it's playing with this. I like how there's variety in these understudies. And I appreciate this production's openness to it. And just for the sake of completion, let's round out the rest of this cast very quickly in this press release. We have Richard J. Hunt, who is playing Mr. Krabs. Sarah Freer, who is playing Pearl. Two performers who I haven't really seen perform yet, and I'm very excited to see them. We have Rebecca Lewinsky playing the mayor. And finally, Hannah Lowther of Millennials and Heathers fame will be playing alongside Divina as Karen. I'm sure very soon we'll get a full announcement of the ensemble of this show, but this main casting is very exciting. I think there's an interesting balance of well-known names and some newer performers. I think this production of SpongeBob could be really, really interesting. I think this casting gives a nice little insight into what we could be expecting from this full production. But what do you think? Are you excited to catch SpongeBob in the UK? Whose casting announcements are you most interested about? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And also, do you like this format of video? Do you like me just talking and giving some short thoughts on, like, news and updates in the theatre world? I'd be down for doing some more videos like this, so if you did enjoy it, please let me know. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribing. It really helps me out, it helps out the channel. There's some links to some other videos on screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you'd like to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!